I'm Shay Russell for mining.com.au, and here I am at the RIU Resources Round-up in 2024. Sitting next to me is Chris Stevens, the CEO and Executive Chair of Coda Minerals. Chris, how are you, mate?
Executive Director, not Executive Chair.
Oh, actually, that is a very important clarification. Thank you very much for that.
It's important for me keeping my job. Yes.
Thank you. Seeing as you are the Executive Director, talk me through what we've got behind us.
Coda Minerals, listed in late 2020. We started with 250,000 tonnes of contained copper in two relatively small but high-grade open pit resources. Turned those into JORC compliant, JORC indicated resources. Then went looking for more scale. With that scale, we effectively defined ME Bluff. And over 40 million tonnes at over 1.8% copper equivalent.
That's impressive.
Large resource. Since then, we've put together a mining plan, processing, put out a scoping study, put out a second scoping study, and then put out another scoping study update. Basically, the point has been continuous improvement, taking this from, a good project to what's really starting to stack up as a great project.
So if all the investors listening, you've listed some very key milestones and you've achieved these in quite a short period of time.
Yes.
How have you managed to do it so quickly?
Funnily enough, I was just talking to Alex over at Barton Gold, and we were talking about relentless forward progress. I mean, the reality is you've got to be comfortable with discomfort. You've got to keep moving, and you've got to know what you're doing next. One of the challenges with ASX companies is you've got to keep creating news flow.
Yes.
So you might see a long pathway and say, right, we'd like to do this, then this, then this. In reality, you kind of try and make sure you've got news flow going out. So keep those studies moving, but it's really about identifying opportunities for improvement. These projects, if you're doing your job, I'd like to think if you're doing your job well, you're keeping a list of all the things you want to look at, all the things you want to try. Some fail, some succeed. And over the last year, we've had a lot more succeed than fail in terms of opportunities.
That's fantastic. Now, behind me, I did see my absolute favourite four letters, and that is an iron oxide copper gold. I do love a big iron oxide copper gold project. Tell me about the rocks in this one.
Right. I'm going to be honest. I'm not entirely convinced they're my four favourite letters.
Oh, okay.
So in June 2021, we hit something pretty spectacular in the basement. And we became very well known for it. I think many people still know Coda more for the IOCG intercept than from the exceptional sedimentary copper projects that we primarily focus on. The IOCG remains a very major part of the work that we do. Share price shot up, and we clearly hit something which we think is part of maybe a lower pressure edge of a major IOCG system. Make no mistake, the grade's spectacular. 3.5% intercepts.
Fantastic.
Meaningful thicknesses, 10, 15, 20, 30 plus meters. But you really need scale. So Carapatina, I think that's about a 0.5% copper resource grade, right? 0.5, 0.6% resource grade. Even the reserve grade at Carapatina is well under 1% copper. So our intercepts, multiples of that. But you need the scale. And what we found was maybe something a little bit, as I say, on the edge of something. Now, we have over 2.5 kilometers by about 900 meters that's effectively undrilled. Major geophysical evidence, we know we would like to target next. Our primary focus remains very much on the sedimentary copper. And it's important to know, it's about 62, I think, % of the world's copper is produced from sedimentary deposits.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Many of which look an enormous amount like this. It's copper cobalt, very common in Central Europe, very common in Zambia, DRC. Much of the world's copper comes from this style of deposit. But IOCGs, when they're big, they're really big. I still believe there's an absolute monster lurking down there. We've got a lot of geophysical evidence.
Yes.
But it's hard to justify a lot of deep holes. So we are looking for funding and looking for partners to take that forward.
Look, I don't want to sidetrack from your copper project because there are another favourite four letters that I have in your copper project. And again, this will probably surprise you, make me sound like a giant nerd. Your copper project is copper, cobalt, zinc, silver and zinc.
That's right.
Zinc is one of my favourite metals. It doesn't get a lot of publicity, but Australia is known for its zinc production.
That's right, yeah.
So you've sort of hit the jackpot here with this polymetallic deposit.
We have. The zinc is actually a very minor, very minor part of it. From memory, it's in the scoping study, we're talking like under a couple of percent of expected revenue. The silver's kind of exciting. The silver provides it's still low single digits in terms of percentages, but the value of silver has been increasing. So I think our study uses $21 per ounce silver, and we're about 28, 29, pushing 30.
And that's in US dollars, just to clarify for everybody listening.
Yep.
That's lovely. So that gives you some very healthy input credits down the line.
And not as much as the copper, of course, which has gone, $8,200 US dollars per ton up to 97.3 this morning, 9,730 US dollars per ton. We did our study at 8,800.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So basically the numbers are stacking up in your favour, which is not often explorers get to say that.
No.
Tell me, as you mentioned so rightly earlier, explorers live and die by the news flow.
Yeah.
What's the next bit of news flow we can look forward to?
Right, so we spent the last year really working on the mine plan, optimization, pillar recovery, looking at new methods, working with Joy Global and Komatsu, and that's been very successful. And these numbers you see behind me are very much based on that. So 31% IRR now pre-tax. Beyond that, we're working on recoveries. So again, recoveries are great.
What is your recovery, by the way?
90% on the cobalt, sort of mid-70s on the copper.
Nice.
So there's not a lot of space to grow on the cobalt, but there's definitely space to grow on the recoveries.
Even 90% is really impressive.
Yeah, and it's carolite. So most Australian cobalt you see is cobaltiferous pyrite. It's locked up with iron sulfides. Challenging to recover. Our cobalt is a beautiful, pretty much pure cobalt copper sulfide. So again, recoveries very well, and then goes down to a final, very clean battery grade product in our current plant. The copper, again, there's some room to grow. We've done it on the mine plan. I would believe we can do it again and improve the project further with the recoveries, and then really driving early PFS work as well. And then we've got some exciting targets. This project could definitely benefit from a couple more years on the mine life, 11 years at full noise, full production.
Yep.
About 14 years total. So the effects of MPV don't kick in too hard until you're the other side of about 15 years.
Yeah.
So again, we've got some really exciting targets around ME Bluff. If we can expand that will improve the economics even further. Copper price is already giving us wind in our sails. A few technical successes.
And that relentless push forward that you've had for the last 4 years.
We are, my hobbies are music and martial arts, right? These are things where you just have to put in the time and the work. And that carries over into my work life as well, and the whole team. Very technically driven, very, very hard working. Trying to get everyone to get out of the office on a Friday night is more of a challenge than keeping them there, which is a new and unusual experience in many of these exploration companies. But we're hard working, very technically driven group, and really focus on those economic improvements, but relentless forward progress is the word.
Now, Chris, normally I would close these conversations off with thanks for watching, check out our socials, but I'm going to do something different.
Okay.
You have your own podcast.
I do.
Where can people find your podcast?
Right, we thought we'd take a bit more control of our media channels, and as I mentioned, music. I love audio engineering, so I have all the kit, the microphones.
Yeah.
They're home, so I brought them in, and so the Codcast.
Very clever.
Sorry, dad joke.
I love it. I think it's great.
The Codcast is available on YouTube. It's available on our LinkedIn and on our X, Twitter, and also via our website. So head to CodaMinerals.com, head to our Investor Hub updates, and look out for us on YouTube as well.
Look, I think putting the Codcast out is a great way to engage with your shareholders regularly.
Yeah.
That way people can come along for updates. Listen, Chris, this was a fantastic
Thanks.
chat. I love what you guys are working on. Love to hear about the Relentless Pursuit for Growth. Very exciting project that you've got. Best of luck, and may we chat again.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.